Hello, welcome to my first ever live stream of one of my stories. So here we go. Welcome to Shut Eye Theater. And I had a crazy dream. So, how many of you have ever read about Atlantis or even watched the Disney movie Atlantis? I have many times. And I've had several dreams. But this one was different. Just vision. Imagine yourself waking up to a new world, finding yourself in elaborate designed buildings with beautiful architecture. Everything in this building is completely almost autonomous, works on its own, but it doesn't look futuristic, doesn't look sci-fi even, but it just seemed like everything got done. The rooms were cleaned, but you didn't have to sweep. Food was made, but you didn't have to make it. You go from room to room to find just beautiful artists, artistry's done, tapestries, and even beautiful rugs woven. At this point, I decided to leave and venture out to figure out where I was, and I found myself in the middle of a city. These cities had beautiful skyscrapers, and most of the transportation was through canals, kind of like Venice. Everyone was going through on boats and everything. Nothing still didn't seem special about the city, other than the beautiful buildings and the quite interesting boats going through these canals, until all of a sudden I saw a form of a silent flying vehicle flying over above. It wasn't like an airplane, it wasn't like anything I've ever seen, but it was carrying people to a new place. At least a lot of people even. And as I watched where they went, going around the corner, I saw a beautiful center part of the city, buildings stacking up to a peak, making a beautiful arrangement of buildings and architects, as if the whole city was designed on a tapestry. It was absolutely gorgeous. And at this point, I started to realize I was in Atlantis. Now, this was the days before Atlantis fell, or sank, as most people believe. But when I ventured out to the edge of the city, I found the truth about this place. We were above the clouds, way above 40,000 feet even. How could I breathe? This is even above Mount Everest. But I could. Somehow they've had their own temperament of controls, own temperament of air. It was beautiful, it was gorgeous, and the weather was temperate. They controlled everything in the city, including the weather, making it to where they can have a city in the sky. You see, we were always mistaken, thinking that Atlantis sank, when in reality, it fell. I wasn't to that part in the dream yet. I just noticed that we were in a flying city of Atlantis. We continued to go through the city, looking at all the splendors, until all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see a bright flash of an explosion. Every single version of light or anything glowing in the city winked out in a second. I didn't know what was going on until I noticed the air all of a sudden got cold and the wind started to pick up. I went to the edge of the city to see what was going on and noticed that we were falling through the clouds at a rapid pace, falling down to Earth. Everyone was in a panic. Everyone was trying to get away. The canals were draining up because the canals were no longer being maintained by whatever mechanism was maintaining them. So everyone was running on foot. The flying vehicles were falling from the sky, but they weren't hitting into the city, where the city itself was also falling too. So everything just seemed to be floating. I tried to get somewhere safe until impact. I black out. I come to and find that I am one of the few survivors of this wonderful, majestic city. Not knowing what has exactly happened, I venture out to find that the city was in ruins, completely and utterly destroyed. All the beautiful advanced technology, all the automations was gone. Whatever caused this tragedy, no one knew how to fix it. Because at this point in Atlantis' history, everyone was used to living a life of luxury without much work, for previous Atlanteans have built the society up, leaving current Atlanteans to live at their leisure, exploring art or whatever ever interests them. Almost a utopia of a society. But now, Atlantis was over, and on Earth, the main ground. To learn to survive, the people had to venture out and find other primitive people living on the ground who knew how to live nomadically, who knew how to plant and grow crops. So Atlanteans had to grow and learn those that survived. That is how the story of Atlantis was passed on, was through these people that they told the stories to. But these people had a hard way of conceiving a city in the sky. So over time, even though they've been told that the city fell, they could better conceive something sinking in the ocean than something falling from the sky. So even though I told the story over and over to multiple people, as I heard retellings of it, it ventured out to the tellings of a city that flooded and fell. Because that's something they can conceive. Many of these cultures already had great flood stories. And so them conceiving that another city was destroyed by a flood was something not too far-fetched for them to believe. So to this day, people look to try and find the lost city of Atlantis, maybe even the advanced technology, but they're looking at the bottom of a sea, when in reality, its location is unknown, for that was lost to time. It never fell into a sea, it fell on land. And where it has fallen, who knows? But maybe someday, I'll have another dream of a group of adventurers that might find it and use its technology or find a way to repair it to continue to advance our current day. That's when I roughly woke up. It was a really fun dream, being able to experience the technology of Atlantis, the adventure, the excitement, and the advancements. Seeing what possibly could have been with advanced technologies from a day past long ago. I always love to look at where did these dreams come from? And this one seemed like it came from a few sources. Obviously, all my interest in Atlantis and stories that I've read in the past, but also in combination with other stories, such as some animes I've watched about flying cities. And somehow my brain pieced it together. I think the third part, that was the final part that helped solidify this story together, was a conspiracy theory I saw about the location of Atlantis actually being in the middle of the Sahara Desert, and some pretty compelling evidence to say so. But how would have it gotten there? And then one night, my brain decided to put all of these pieces together to dream up a beautiful flying Atlantis city that eventually crashed down. Now, in the dream, I didn't see exactly where it crashed down to. It just crashed down. So, hopefully, maybe one day I'll have another dream to where I can continue this adventure. Tell me what you thought. Have you had dreams about advanced cities in the skies, or even about Atlantis? Or maybe were you there when it flooded in that version of the story that we've often heard? Let me know. Share in the comments. But in other stories, more dreams to come, more stories to tell, and until next time, sleep tight.